When you make an enemy, you have to commit. So next time you come after me, you better be ready to kill me.
All right. So it's interesting because when you came in as Lex Luthor last season, you came in right as all the strikes were happening. So I don't because I was trying to find like interviews and see what you've talked about Lex before, but yeah, the timing was really interesting. So I guess my first question for you is, before you joined the show, what was your familiarity with the Superman franchise? Like, what kind of role did Superman play in your life before this?
I know Superman played more of a role in my life so far as the TV show. The original TV show as a kid growing up, watched it all the time. Was not a follower of the comics. It's something I talked about when I started doing The Walking Dead. The comics have never been a big part of my life as a kid. For me, my escape was actually to go out and be involved in theater and the band and all those things at school. That was my sort of escape as a child. We didn't have money to even buy the comics. It was a situation where they just weren't in my life at all. So the TV show was really my main connection to Superman, and then over the years the movies. But obviously I always knew about Superman, always, was aware of Lex Luthor. But so far as following the comics and reading the comics and having them be a part of my life growing up, it wasn't that case at all.
And when you got the role, was this like an audition process of like, they're testing out for this mystery role? Did they come to you directly of, hey, we want you to be our Lex Luthor?
Todd came to me, it was a long process, but Todd came to me and wanted me as Lex. For a long time, they didn't think that they could get me. That's all on them. We kept hearing about that they were going to be asking or looking into, but it took them about 4 or 5 months before we actually really heard from them. And then when I heard about it, I was like, I absolutely wanted to do it. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. It's literally the original bad guy. So yeah, of course. And also terrifying.
Yeah, you can, because you come in with such a bang. Because you come in towards the end of the season, and you get to be the one that gets Superman killed very, very quickly. Because this is a Lex that is very established already, which also kind of makes me wonder: did Todd ever give you like an idea of like a roadmap of this is what this Lex has been up to over all these years, besides being stuck in prison? Like what kind of crimes has he committed? How much history is there? Or did you just go episode by episode as you were getting at?
It's that's the kind of thing with television. A lot of it is as you get it. That's kind of the nature of the format. But there's early on when I started doing the research for it, the more research I did, the more I realized that like there's between the worlds and the universes and the retcons and all of these different iterations of Lex, the more research you do into all of the different material, the more you realize it's all valid. Like you can go in so many different directions with Lex and still be true to the source material. There are some things that are consistent and constant throughout. Just a couple of things, but generally speaking, you really have an opportunity to go in any direction you want. Then when Lex first came on, he's red hair, he's, overweight, he's commanding this army on this floating island dirigible that he's going to take over the world, and the modern Lex, completely bald shaved suit. And then in between all that, you have all these different, looks that Lex has, depending upon what world we're in or what universe or what storyline. So we kind of had a lot of fun with that, that basic stuff. I think you you get a sense that we're not locked into what the Lex of the moment is. We sort of I believe we pay homage to, to the history of Lex and, where his roots as well. The story-wise, I knew that we kind of stayed with the suicide slums stuff, the parents, the abusive parents, which we'll see later in the season. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler because that's the world we're in. But Lex is, we see when you first see me when I'm doing push-ups in the jail cell, you can see very obviously cigarette burns on his back. So that the groundwork for that has been laid, and for those who really follow, they will have caught on that, and for some that don't, that's okay that they have that information now. So he is that Lex that came from that abusive family and made his own way in the world, and that idea of family and loss of family plays incredibly, incredibly heavily in the pain that is driving Lex right now in our story.
Yeah, because what I was so fascinated by because we have, as you were talking about, we've seen so many versions of Lex before, but this is really the first time that we see him being driven by fatherhood. Because again, there's a lot, of course there is a classic hater towards Superman and Lois Lane, but in this case, it's what's driving him is the loss of his relationship with his daughter, which I think is it's a very nice parallel to, because this show is so heavily rooted in family. And in this case, we see now what happens to someone who loses his family, who doesn't get to have what, a father usually has, get to raise their daughter or their kids and whatnot. Was that something that was very exciting for you to tackle as an actor of, hey, we're adding this new element to life, we don't really see that often, while also getting to play, such a classic villain, of course? Yeah,
it's a highly playable action, the loss of one's child, whether it be actual loss through death or even maybe worse, your child being stripped from you emotionally, of no fault of your own, even though he is obviously guilty of many other things, but this particular thing that he's being accused of, he is not, and his moral compass is smashed because of that.
Now, even though you're getting to play the arch enemy of Superman, of course, how did it feel for you? Again, because I know that when you probably took on the role, you didn't know this. You were going to go ahead into what is now the final season. But how does it feel like that you get to be the one that closes out Superman and Lois Lane's story in this particular version?
It's I didn't know the show until they started talking to me about doing the show, and then I went back and watched the pilot and immediately fell in love with this story. I think they had I not even done the show, that they do what they're doing so well. Tyler is incredible. Bitsy's incredible. The kids are, everyone is amazing. And the secondary characters that are, some in the comic books and some not, they just round out that world. And it's a wonderful world that they've set up. And it's, it's a very safe world, for the audience. It reminds me in a lot of ways of the old Star Trek. It's like, like they may get in danger, but next week everybody's going to be there, unless of course you're wearing a red shirt, then you won't be.
One of the dynamics we see a lot this season for you is, we see you working a lot with Yvonne Chapman as Amanda, and what does that relationship do for Lex because we see that she's the only one that really, like, he really seems to open to, that he trusts us. So what kind of impact does Amanda have on Lex for the rest of the season from what we see now?
Well, first off, Amanda's amazing, or I should say Yvonne Chapman is incredible. Yeah. She's incredible in the show, and I can't wait to see, for everyone to see where that all heads. She's lovely to work with, and just a really, really incredible, strong actress. I like the relationship because it's sort of, everyone needs a confidant in order for the audience to learn about, the character. Someone who he feels, I guess, safe at this point, safe enough, or he's allowing her in just deeper than anyone else. We're obviously led to believe that she is very close to him, very close friend, as well as someone who he has entrusted the entire business with, that we learn ultimately. She's been running everything, and Lex knows that if anyone else was running it, they would have run it into the ground. We sort of get that sense early on that she is, and I think I even say it in the early episodes, she is the only one he trusts, to handle everything. So to sort of have your personal life smashed by the removal of your daughter, and then to be able to entrust everything else in your life over to somebody else and know it's going to be safe. And then 17 years later, it is safe. There's an incredible amount of trust there. So I feel like we are able to sort of get a deeper look into Lex through Amanda. And that's why she's very important to have around. I can't tell you anything else because it will spoil for the rest of the season.
No, of course, no.
Trying to keep it limited to what we see so far.
Yeah, no, exactly.
She's absolutely incredible.
Just throughout these 3 first episodes, Lex caused so much chaos so quickly, and the fact that
it is a huge misunderstanding. That's more on you than me.
Yeah. No, but listen, here's the thing, because when he starts messing with the kids, that's when I'm like, okay, wow, there's no limit for this guy. Again, I'm still, and again, this part will go after episode 3 is aired. The idea that he would pit, Jordan and Lois against each other with the whole phone call thing, and I'm just like, when you read all these scripts, like, are you like, what threw you off the most, like, in a good way of, oh my god, like, this is he's petty to a degree, in his mind, justifiably so, but like, what reactions did you have to seeing like some of the things that he's been causing so far?
I loved it. And he says it to Lois. He's like, you started it. You brought the kids into this. You messed with my daughter. First thing. Mm-hmm. Why would I not mess with your children? You took away my daughter. You took her away for 17 years. There's no, like, not to be like, nana, you started it, but you started it.
Was the heart stomping a shock to you? Because I was like, can they show this on the CW? I'm like, I know, like, maybe in The Walking Dead, this is, easily things they could show, but like, I was thrown up by the fact, when I was watching my screen, I'm like, oh, is this scene even gonna make it into the network cut? Because like, this is like one of the most gruesome things we've seen in Superman media so far.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun. All that was fun. It was great. Maybe I'm jaded.
No. But as an actor, I'm sure that's like, that's a blast.
No,
because again,
that was great. My scenes with him are I love him so much.
Yeah, no, Alex Garfin, he's wonderful. But of course, I was feeling so bad for Jordan in that moment, because like, I was like, how many takes did you get of like getting to, like, how many like spare hearts did he have that you got to like just stomp on? Like, when you
had 2 or 3 that I just dropped, that could be dropped, and it didn't matter because once it dropped, we were out of it. And then the one that was crushable, I think we had 2 actual ones that we could crush, and then we could rebuild them if we had to, and put them back together. And they could CGI it, and we knew that. But we had 2 actual physical parts that we thought were gonna work. And I think we got it on the first one, but we wound up using everything we had for it. It's just, with a situation like that, you want to make sure you're covered, and we do a bunch for safety. But yeah, and he was, Alex was incredible in the scene. It's a very, very emotional scene for the fans, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm going to be the well loved after that one for a while.
You will be someone we love. You will be someone that we love to hate, because that's the thing. We love a really good villain. So, something that I love that we've seen, like we get snippets of it, but we get a few flashbacks of what Clark, Lois, Lex have all been up to. Can you tease if there's more of that we get to see in the because again, I know it's a very short season, but do we get more taste of your Lex's history with these characters?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, we definitely get, I'm, I don't want to, we get the sense of the origin of where this all began and how much of a loss it is to him. It is through the course of the season, it's put in perspective how much of a loss his daughter is to him. And we have, just early on, we play with the flashing back to Lex previous, and that is a consistent storytelling device we use throughout the season.
Because one thing I did notice also, because I love her so much, we find out that the lovely Elizabeth Henstridge is playing your daughter, and again I know this is I will try ask this carefully and tread lightly, but what are chances that we may see you and her work together this season?
How do we know this? How do you know this?
We see a photo of her. We see, because in the episode 3, we see, her grown up. We see the full face because you're still looking for her, and yeah. So that's when Amanda kind of informed you. Yeah, the only one who knows where Elizabeth is the general.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from all that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Man, I don't know where she's used, when she's used in that, so I don't know if they use her later for something else. Yeah, so I don't.
No, I've only seen the first 3, so it's within the first 3 episodes. So
yeah, look, anything's possible so far as me with my younger daughter, but like I said, the storytelling device is mostly with the flashback. So it's she would be younger. So.
Okay, interesting. Well, so something because as I was doing research about this season, I hear that you got to direct the season. You got to direct an episode. Can you? Yeah. I believe it's episode 8.
8.
What can you? What was it like getting behind the camera on this particular show? And is there anything you can tease? Because it's one of the final 3 episodes, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a great experience. The cast was fantastic and really welcomed me, the crew as well. I had been up there for 7 episodes already, and then, 9, I guess, if you include last year. So I got in, pretty tight with the crew and the cast by then. It was very, very easy relationship-wise. And had a wonderful time. The episode is a really, really strong episode from a writing standpoint, and I had a wonderful time directing it. I'm really, really proud of it. I think the fans are going to love it. It's a lot of cool stuff in the episode.
Have you gone to? Is it a lock yet? Have you gone to see the whole thing, or?
No, the whole season is done. I mean, everything is
okay.
We finished so far ahead of when we aired that we're done. I've seen every episode.
Is there, besides having directed, do you have a particular personal favorite that you're really excited for, that you want the fans to look out for as we go into the final season?
There's some really, really cool stuff that happens in episode 6.
Okay.
That I think is from a fan standpoint, is going to be something that they've never ever seen before, and that they've wanted to see.
I'm hoping. Because we know at some point Superman has to come back to life, and at some point he and Lex, they gotta duke it out. What are chances that you and Tyler may have shot some fist to fist fights throughout the season.
I would have loved that. That would have been awesome. I don't know. Lex against Superman?
I mean, we've seen Lex with his, armor in the comics. This Lex Luthor's a capable man. He's a very knowledgeable man. He can find ways to fight an alien.
That's true. Maybe we should have had you write the season.
No, no. Trust me, I would have gone over budget by mistake, and I would be
we've done that. I'm sure.
No, but I'm hoping we get to see something like that. Maybe even I would like to see what you and fighting the kids would look like if because again, if he's willing to go after the kids this much, I'm sure he would have no problems fighting teenagers.
Well, I know. I mean, all I'll say about that is I know I had a wonderful time working with Tyler. The scenes with him were fantastic. He's incredibly giving. Same thing with Bitsy. Honestly, all of them. But I loved working with Tyler. And I don't know why. I think as an actor, you come into a situation like this. You come into a show, and it's a really big show, and it's he's the lead guy, and he's this good looking guy, and he's playing Superman, and you just like I didn't expect him to give me the time of day, honestly, and not that that's okay, but I guess even as actors, we are also fans, and we understand like the sort of how the structure can be sometimes. And I had very low expectations of him being incredibly personable, or necessarily even kind to me. I didn't necessarily expect anything from it. I was like, the dude's Superman, like let him do his thing. And it could not have been further from what I experienced. And I think that's why I have such an appreciation for it, because he, just literally smashed my expectations, which were obviously all wrong. So a lesson to myself as always. And, I hope we all are open to these lessons throughout our lives, but like, don't judge something by what you think something's going to be. Judge it by what the actual experience is. And because of that, I have this affinity to him that I loved working with him. And I think we did some really, really great stuff. These two sort of iconic characters mix up in a way that we've never seen before. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see the restraint that Superman has, because he is Superman. And there are certain things that he won't do, which gives Lex incredible flexibility and leeway in many ways. So it's fun. It's been really, really a great experience. And then my stuff with Bitsy, all the conflict stuff has just been like super fun.
Yeah, I mean, even just your first scene. Yeah, because I remember because when we first saw it in season 3, like I didn't expect to be at again, Lex Luthor is someone that can absolutely scare the living crap out of me, but just seeing how full of anger he was. I remember I saw Bitsy, she talked about it at Comic-Con this year about you guys working together for the first time, and then her hearing about I think she said something in the form of, oh, I heard Michael thought that I was I didn't like it, but it was more like, no, I was just scared. I was just scared by his performance, which I think I remember the night the episode aired, and we were all on Twitter and just seeing this is not a Lex we've seen before, which is of course obviously exciting when with a legacy role like this, adding something like this before.
Yeah, the working with Bitsy the first time I had, it was one of the first times I had performed as Lex. So I had not auditioned. The guys, Todd and Brent were not up in Canada. I'm working with a guest director. Performing for the first time as Lex Luthor with basically no safety net. So I was, this was my interpretation of what I was reading and what I wanted to do. And I thought, okay, well, it's written this way. We've talked about it. I'm going for it. And, I hope this is what they were hoping for, because this is what I want to do. And I started rehearsing the scene, and Bitsy just like shut down for me. And I wouldn't make eye contact in between rehearsal and when we started shooting. She went into sit where her chair was and was not connecting at all. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, the lead of the show hates what I'm doing on day one. Like, hates what I'm doing. Literally won't look at me. She hates it so much. And I'm like, well, I just, so I checked in with the director and I go, I feel strong about this. And he's like, dude, like, no, I go, all right, I don't know, but I'm committing to this. And then I finished up and saw her then like the day or two later, and she came up and gave me a big hug. She's like, oh my God, so incredible working with you the other night. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I told her, I said, I thought you hated me. I was talking to my wife at some point during the evening, and I was like, I think Bitsy has a problem with what I'm doing. But I'm glad I stuck with what I was doing. And I'm glad that, I'm glad, at least I feel like, we're doing what we wanted to do, and I hope the fans respond to it. I know it's a tough fan base. It's a fan base at times that has issues with itself. We have our Snyder Superman and our everyone else, and then we have our people who love their Lexes, John Cryers and Michael Rosenbaum and Gene Hackman, and I'm a fan of all of them as well. So I hope everybody just gives it a chance. We're doing something different, and we're really proud of it. And I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
I have to, because I just checked my notes quickly, because I have to ask you this because I know the fans would murder me if I didn't. They're one of the big teases we get in the premiere that kind of like we get seeds of in later episodes. There's this box that you and Amanda seem very, very obsessed with. What can you elaborate on this? Like, why should we be worried about this? Because I feel like if they care this much about this, then I feel we as the audience need to be worried.
What is it we care about?
There's towards the end of the premiere, you get a box by someone named Milton from Amanda, and you say, let's not, let's not tell. Yeah, what is this box? What is going on here? Like I had my fears, but I'm like, what can you tease?
Well, that is the epitome of the long format.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we tune in every week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I prefer weekly television. I don't really like the binge format anymore these days. So, but for our readers who will be tuning into this, like, when might we see more teasers of them? Like, how much trouble could this possibly cause?
Well, it's pretty important. It's the end of the episode, right? Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy the season.
Are you happy with the way that wherever your Lex goes towards the end of the series? Are you thrilled for what people are gonna get to see? Because again, it's I guess I know the series finale was probably very emotional to film. Especially knowing that we only had so much time with this Lex. But what can you speak to that?
It's I'm thrilled with where we went. I feel like the finale is, as someone who became a fan of the show, the finale wonderfully wraps up the entire story that we're telling. Wonderfully. An incredible amount of fan service is done to all of these characters and the fans, so no one feels left out. If you were, if you're a Kyle fan, you're going to be incredibly satisfied knowing where his story is. If you're a Lana fan, like everyone has an incredibly satisfying arc and resolution in the show. Plus, it's incredibly emotional arc for the entire series, not just the individual characters. The family as to where they go on the journey, and where the boys wind up, in their relationship with their dad and their mom, and with everyone else in the show. Couldn't be happier with the show, and could not be happier with what they did with Lex. And I feel an incredibly detailed, very specific what if story with Lex. Starting from what we know, what if Lex was his driving force, was his pain from his loss of his daughter? How would that resolve, and how would that collide into the world of Superman and Lois? And what would be the resolution of that? What could be the resolution of that, based on everything we know, and wonderfully tying in to the comics and to the suit, which we've seen in the trailer, so we know that that's coming. How do we get back? How do we get back to the Lex that is now, from the Lex we started with, who was, this prisoner for 17 years and became who he had to become to survive in prison? How does he reestablish himself back in the world and sort of take over the life that he had prior?
I was also hoping if I could trouble you for a question about The Walking Dead, because one of my good colleagues, Felipe, here screenwriter, he's a huge fan of you on The Walking Dead, and he wanted me to ask, because we've seen The Walking Dead universe really continue even after the main series came to an end, with spin-offs, focused on a lot of beloved characters. Despite your character being dead, would you still be interested in leading maybe a limited series within the Walking Dead universe, with Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene, where they were all still together? In your opinion, do you feel there's still more to tell with that character, despite his death?
Yeah, 100%. We've talked about this before. I loved that world. I had a great time in it. The characters were. I don't think I've had as much fun on a set prior or since. It was a wonderful world to be part of, and there was talk at one point about something with the Walking Dead universe, the Tales from the Walking Dead, I think they called it. That was the little. I think they did 6 episodes of that, where it was sort of these almost like a Black Mirror type alternate universe things. And I think one of the storylines they had, one of the scripts they have had and still have, is a sort of an Abraham origin story. And they've talked about that prior. So if they came to me with that and the timing of everything worked out, absolutely. Yeah. I love those guys. Had a wonderful time doing it.
And outside of Superman Lois, where can fans see you next? Like, what are you working on next that you can talk about?
We got a couple things in development that I can't really talk about right now. But we got a short film my wife and I did, that I directed, that my wife wrote, that is going to be at the Wild West Bunch Film Festival, something like that, in Tucson, Arizona, the 22nd and 23rd, I think, of October. What's it called?
Wild Bunch Film Festival. We were just at the Beverly.
Wild Bunch Film Festival. Yeah, and we just screened at the Burbank International Film Festival. So we did a short that we're really proud of. It's sort of a Western. Jamie McShane is our lead, who I know from Southland. So next year I got some cool stuff coming, but this is what we're hitting on now, is the Superman and Lois.
Yes, and it's look forward to fans of seeing this. But Michael, thank you so much.
Did you like it? Let me ask you a question. Were you satisfied as a? Are you a big Superman fan?
I mean,
or is it one of your things?
It's one of. I mean, Superman is the love of my life. You know, he's my, one of my all-time favorite superheroes. So yes, I loved seeing these 3 episodes to the point where I'm like, do I email the CW asking if I can get the 4th one already, because like I need to see what's happening. But no, like, you are amazing as Lex, and I cannot wait to see what else that you're cooking for this family, because like.
You're gonna love this season, man. You are gonna love the season.
Yes, yeah, I can only imagine. I've only heard good things. I've only heard good things about the rest of the season. So, but Michael, thank you so much for your time today, and I cannot wait for fans to see the final season on the CW. And hopefully you. Is this a genre you would maybe want to revisit down the line of, there's always DC, there's always more Marvel waiting out there. Is there something you would want to do now?
Sure. I chase story and cool characters, so I'm open for anything.
It's easy to be brave with Superman and the DOD watching out for you.